live. We are live. We are live. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Talk to him. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Be back at it like a bad habit. Man, ain't no challenge too big, like a song says, man. Man, if you didn't know, now you know. Let your friends know, let your mom and them know. And we on YouTube right now. This is our maiden voyage. We might hit a couple bumps. We might hit a couple rocks. Getting out here in this deep water. But guess what? We out here. So guess what, man? If you didn't know, and if no one told you, man, this is the 228 Chop Shop. The 228 Chop Shop. Man, we are from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Man, we from the home of the longest man-made beach in the world. Come on, man, you ain't got no beach like that. The longest man-made beach. But look, excuse my manners, man. My name is Charles Hawkins. I'm one of your co-hosts for this evening. And I got my co-host right here, my dog, my Ryan.
Yeah, Larrone Lewis Sr. We back at it today. Good topic for today.
Yeah, man. Well, yesterday was a holiday that we had. We all kind of, we look at it. We don't even think about it as men, because yesterday was Father's Day. Father's Day should be celebrated. We should celebrate all fathers, and there should be a significant part of people's day celebrating fathers. It's never that.
Yeah.
It's never that. It's disappointing. It's horrendous.
They don't care about us.
They don't care about
They
us.
don't care about us.
They don't care about us.
Yeah.
But look, it's and the topic is Father's Day a joke? And I say that, kind of, lighthearted, but is Father's Day a joke? Because Father's Day to men don't really mean a whole lot. Well, not so much to men, to fathers, and fathers should be looked at as the ones who, it's not no controversy, the ones who give life. Everything in us gives.
Yes.
I don't want to get too graphic, but our pencil,
seeds. We got the seeds.
shoots. It gives. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And the woman receives. So we are the origins of life. The women are the ones who carry the life. And we can't carry the life. I don't care what you say, man, y'all can have that. That's too much for me. I seen that firsthand with my eyes.
Yeah.
Look, when they say men pass out in the what you call it?
Yeah.
Dude, when I was there with my son, the dumbest thing happened. She was laying down and she was giving birth and she was pushing, and bro, my whole left side felt like somebody just pushed a button and everything was numb. I said, ooh, don't pass out, don't pass out. And I'm like, man, if I pass out, I'm gonna hit this ground so hard. I'm gonna look so stupid. But I felt her pain. And that was just a fraction of what she was going through. I can't imagine what women go through, in their lifetime, giving birth. but I think fathers don't really have a bad, um, don't really have a great reputation. Now, whether we earn it or not, that's whatever. But as a father and the ones who doing right, and we're just assuming that all fathers are doing right, and we know they're not. But if whenever we say fathers, and whenever we say mothers, we always assume the best. So if I say father, I assume the best.
Yes, yes.
If I say a mother, I assume the best. So, man, fathers should have some type of confirmation of their parenthood through their children or to their people around them. You know what I'm saying? What do you say about that?
Yeah. Well, Father's Day didn't become a national holiday somewhat until 1972. It was started by a young lady. She in the 20th century. She wanted to acknowledge her daddy. So that's how Father's Day came about. So I can pretty much say that by me being the father, I was the father 3 times over. But there's a lot of things going on in the negative way about the fathers, and that we're very, very valuable. We're the hinge pin to society. I'm gonna put it like that, and I'm gonna stand on that. Everything starts and ends with us. That's not chauvinistic. That is the honest truth of what it is. But also that we're very important into, like he said, life. But we very valuable when it comes to bringing up, because even in the Bible, people misses a lot of things. We spoke on this before. God say, Father, raise your children. So really, he gave us a charge to be involved in our children's life. That really, to me, that means we supposed to lead the charge on, when it comes to the family structure, the leadership of the kids or whatever. So, I mean, it's not nothing I'm making up, it's biblical. It says that in the Bible. So, we just have to learn how to accept things for what they are, play our role, and I'm 100% adamant that if we do that, everything will work out for the good of us. I couldn't imagine, not being involved. I couldn't even much fathom me not being involved in my 3 sons' life and in their upbringing. That's something that would be something weird for me.
I know. And I was trying to find the girl's name. Her name was the one who initiated it. Her name was Sonora Smart died in 1909. Like you said, she wanted to honor her father. Now, when I understood this, there were some steps that I seen. She said she went to her local churches and said, "Hey, I want to honor my father." And she went to some local officials. Then she went to some, and they got it to where it was in the state. So she started small. She said, "I want to honor my daddy." And oh yeah, and by the way, she wanted to honor her daddy because she was raised with 6. Well, how I said, her daddy raised 6 children by herself, by himself. So he was a single father of 6, and that's crazy. A single father of 6, you're a single father of 3, and I'm a single father. Raised them all by herself. So this is all kind of coming full circle. That a mother or that a daughter said, "You know what? I want to honor my single parent father," and that got out to so many people that people said, "You know what? I'm gonna honor my father. I'm honor my father." Then they went to the state, and then they got legislated on, and it finally got ratified in 1972. And in 1972, that's when the official holiday was, and from then it was supposed to. Let me see the definition of what Father's Day is. The purpose of Father's Day is to recognize the contributions, sacrifices, guidance, and love that the fathers and the father figures provide to their families and communities. I like that, bro. But the problem is, I don't know if we're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not, what's the negative effects that may happen if you don't recognize your fathers?
My thing about we'll miss so much in our upbringing as men. For number one, we wouldn't know what to do if operating function as men if we didn't have the example in front of us. So I mean, that's just one of the things that I definitely for a lot of young boys. Like I said, I hear a lot of people say things about our young men, but we're not taking in consideration they don't have much of the example set in front of them for like for like manhood or anything showing them the step by steps on how to operate as a man. Because like I said before, you gonna spend more time being a grown man than y'all gonna be a little boy.
Yep.
So that it's very important that a young man learns the step, go through all the steps, not skip step, not some step, not get bits and pieces. He need to get it all while he young, while he a young man for a guy, his father or other mentors or whatever. Those steps in life of that young man is very important, So that's just, if y'all wanted anything to change, then our young men need to be around solid grown men.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we don't recognize men, and some women may say, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It sounds crazy, but it's just a big deal. If you don't recognize men go around having frustration. They have all this testosterone, and they like I said, we give. Our nature is to give. So the family is pulling on this good man. Remember, I'm saying I'm starting off from a good man basis. So this good man, the family pulls on him when they need him, and then his well runs dry. And then comes a national day to recognize men. He gets a tie.
Or they put us on the grill. We do the cooking.
We gotta go cook.
We gotta cook it.
Ooh, Dad, you can cook
today. Yeah.
He out the sun.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't seem right. Even though he might like it, a lot of times men do that because that's their time to be in control.
We just accept it.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't in control. They're like, all right, I'm in control of some stuff now. But come Father's Day and then Father's Day, back to square one.
But the most celebrated we get is like mostly from in the church standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men. I think the number one thing a lot of guys like to do is play golf or whatever. I'm not a golfer, but also on top of that, men just want peace and quiet for that one day. If you give them that, rest, peace and quiet, feed up, just to mellow. I when I was coming up and I was around a lot of older guys and stuff, and they were like I said, when I used to go to their houses and stuff, they had their special chair. That chair was they was the only one that could sit in their chair. And I tried to, like my grandfather and others have explained to me about what that chair meant. That was their throne. That's why they did all their thinking at. That's where they rest at. That's where they, did, that's where they had their peace at. And, the women back then, they knew that, they, even sometimes people would, I would see some of the guys, they would just sit, not so much sleep, but they'll just sit there and just think and meditate. And you can kind of actually see how they just sitting there, they had peace. That's the only time they can have peace.
Yeah.
The wives, they used to bring them the tea and the coffee, and they just to sit there and just, just relax. That has gone away. I don't see that in too many people's houses no more. I don't even see the chair there. You see the two sofas.
Yeah.
you don't see chairs in there. What is the thinking chair? But some people call it. But yeah.
But that's a critical look at it, and that's a good look at it, because Man, we're simple. A lot of times women say, "Well, I don't know what to get the man. I don't know what to get the man." Blah blah blah. Oh, I wish I would have reminded you, but I got you last year. The the poster, the little
The plaque. Oh yeah,
street
yeah. It's
sign.
on my own. It's on
Yeah.
my desk. Yeah.
Watch this. You don't have to know a whole lot of what to get somebody. Like we did a little. Me and Larrone, his son had went out to New Orleans. We had went out to the Seventh Ward. We had done like a little documentary, walked around, and I knew once you start hanging out with somebody, you start understanding what they like or what's important to them. So what was important to him was his home, his childhood home, and and we finally looked at the street signs, and I'm like, okay, this is good. You know what I'm saying? And so I said, I'm gonna give him a very specific gift, Father's Day. So I said, you know what? And I didn't get the second part, but I want to get it to you though. Whenever we had walked to his house, to his old childhood house, he said, look for the bricks,
Yeah.
right?
St. Joe bricks.
Look for the St. Joe brick. People that in construction know about St. Joe brick. They only make them in New Orleans, they're in Louisiana. So a very specific type of brick. Look like old Chicago. But he said, look for the St. Joe brick. I'm looking. I see some St. Joe brick. A house right here. And so St. Joe brick was important. Street signs were important. Just the area. So I said, let me go on the internet. And I got him a canvas with the street sign of where his childhood house was. So it's just across the street, and I was gonna get him a St. Joe brick, and I was gonna give it to him. And something as goofy as a brick and a piece of canvas, and you don't know. That just shows that somebody paying attention.
Yeah.
That's all men want.
Yeah. And then, like I said, it's real easy, but a lot of times people don't get a chance to study it. You could be married to a guy for 10 years, and if you ain't studying him, you wouldn't even have to ask him what he need or what he want if you would really study him to see what things that he like. Whatever he. Sometimes, not all the time we vocal, but our action will speak a lot. About what it was. Like I said, he just don't know when he bought me that canvas, and if you would have got me that brick or whatnot, another. I used to drive to New Orleans when I kind of like I'm having a bad night. It could be 2:00 in the morning. I drive to New Orleans, go sit in the area where I grew up at and just relax. Some people say that my family, oh, I'm on that day, you shouldn't be doing that or whatever another. And he bought it to me, so I ain't got to really leave my house now. So I can sit at my computer desk and look at that canvas picture, and kind of like press the reset button. To get me back going, get me back on track, or whatever. Because like I said, it don't take much. It don't take much.
It don't ever take much. Like I said, men, we aren't complicated. Ask any of us on Father's Day, hey man, what'd you get for Father's Day? Right? What'd you want for Father's Day? Right? So really, you can get him anything to satisfy that significant need for what men need. And so how can we fix Father's Day? What can we do? What can we do to fix Father's Day?
In my own personal opinion, we got to celebrate each other. We got to do it on our own. Yeah. Men need to, like this morning, I get up at 4:00. I started sending out Happy Father's Day to everybody that's is in my friend list or whatever. We need to start celebrating each other. That's the beginning, and that's hopefully that becomes a trend. Women will see that, and definitely young men will see that. Hopefully, a lot of young men they will see them, learn the importance of our father or of their father. Whether it is, and let's make clear the record straight. There's no perfect man. There's no perfect father. Don't ever think that, stuff like that. But I can tell you, without a shadow of doubt, you go ask some of these females and some of these men that fathers was solid dudes. It's a void when they leave here. It's a void. It's definitely a void in there. Even when like some of our grandparents married 30, 40 years. When Papa go, Grandma ain't far behind. It's just like a part of her. It's just. I ain't gonna say it's weird, but it happened.
Yeah.
She'll grieve herself to death. She been with this one guy for 40 years. She don't know nobody else.
Yeah.
It's just like a part. I'm a firm believer when they say you become married, you become one, and then when y'all become one half of you, when one passed, the other half is gone. You just hanging on by a string.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that just we don't get the respect that we supposed to get. Like I said, if something happened, we got to do it. Problem solved, we got to solve the problem. Anything that's built and fixed, we have to do it. We start it and we finish it. Everybody look to us to be the difference maker. So, like I said, we don't get celebrated, but we don't make a big push about it neither, because we just learn to accept it. Some fathers, they get socks and stuff, but then after the fourth pair, the new fourth pair was the very first one that they bought them. So you got two sets of socks that look the same. They ain't even paying attention, and we don't never say nothing.
Yeah, and look, the most, let me see the typical, let me see where the typical gift at. Where's it at? I can't find it. But like I said, the typical gift is just socks, a tie. It's
maybe some tools.
But this is the thing. I'd rather just accept nothing.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give me that, because I got all the ties, I got all the socks.
I don't even like ties.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, and like don't put me in the same boat that everybody else gets. That's like Valentine's Day. I'm not gonna give you no candies and chocolates. You may not even like candies and chocolates. You may not even like flowers.
Yeah.
So if once I know who you are, then I can be more specific with what I do. But and I agree with you that us, like you said, texting each other. I'm a firm believer in just calling some of the rock solid guys, the rock solid fathers in your life, and telling them, say, bro, I'm proud of you. That goes a long way. Like, you don't have to do anything to get this information. Like, I'm just telling you, like I did the other day. I called like 2 people. Say, bro, I'm proud of you. I appreciate it. He said, no. I'm for real. I'm proud of you. Like, I'm legit proud that you are a father, and I'm learning from you. I'm taking notes from you. I tell everybody, I tell all the good dudes, I'm taking notes from you because I need to be a better me. So in my areas of weakness, I'm looking at my boy over here. I'm looking at my boy over here. I remember my boy doing this. I'm taking all these notes from you, and you are the blueprint. So I always communicate that with the people that I'm with. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where it starts at. Just connecting with your own people. You know what I mean? So, you got anything else to say on that?
Like I said, we need to start a trend of us just celebrating each other from the start. And also from the mental standpoint of it, like we have to always understand that sometimes we just gotta, when it comes to our mental health, whether it be fathers or just men in general, we have to learn how every problem is not an emergency. That will also help us, to navigate through life or whatever, to yeah, I know a lot of people depend on us for a lot of time, but sometimes people depend on us too much, and we just keep. It's just the human nature. We just have natural problem solvers. That's just what we do. But for our health, mentally and some physically, we have to learn to say, okay, we're gonna put this off to a later date. Today falls today. Today is my day of rest. I'm not doing anything today. Just to relax. That now that's to be honest, that's something I struggle with because just relaxing, just to sit still for a little while and just to just do nothing. That's a struggle. That's a struggle for a guy like myself.
Yeah, it's hard. I think what we have to, and I think what people, if they don't already, I want to give a window into what men have to go through. When men become when a young man becomes a man, let's say he gets married. Previously, he did not have a workload on him. It was just him. Now he has a wife, so now he has to take care of himself and a wife. Now he has two kids. So that's 4 people. He got to look out for himself and 3 other people. That's a load on him. And then he has to go out to go work, and he can't just quit work because he got kids. So people at the job, you don't know how close people are about to get their head knocked off at the job site. I'm talking about every other day. Like it's almost a fight. And then when men fight, we don't pull hair. We don't scratch.
True. That's why I say when they always say when 2 men get together, the only way it's gonna get resolved is gonna be physical. It's gonna be some type of altercation. We're not hardwired like we're not wired like women. How we settle our differences is always it's gonna be physical, and it's not the problem not gonna get solved until it always ends up that way.
Yeah.
And
then we have a high propensity of violence. Our job, whenever we fight, is to kill. I'm trying to kill you. And that's why you'll see a lot of men about to fight, and they realize they're about to cross that line. And they thinking about their whole family back home. And then they have to back down, and then now they come home to no appreciation. That weighs on somebody.
Yeah, and that's a lot. That's a lot of things that people don't understand about. Like you just said, the man. If anything go wrong, it's on him. He got the wife. He got the children. He got all that weight on him. Then the pressure from the world on the outside the door. That's a like. Then biblical. Not Larrone saying, not Charles. The Bible talks about coming home to a quarrelsome woman. It's better for you to be on the rooftop. That's all mental. That's when the mental part, that because he know all that pressure built up in us, and we all I'm gonna go on the limit and say, there ain't a man on this earth that's not guilty of, because we deal with a lot of things in silence. We don't talk a lot. We could be in an unhappy marriage and don't even say anything. We just shut down. We could be in a relationship like that. We could be in that. Everybody happy but us.
Yeah.
And nobody would never pay attention to it. And even if they just think, say, well, actually what's going on, we gonna always say nothing.
Yeah. You always ask somebody, hey, how you doing? You all right? You all right? Yeah.
But a real person will that really know you, they can tell when something wrong with you. But no, you ain't, man. You ain't all right.
Yeah.
You ain't yourself.
That's why my prescription to all men. This is my prescription. Dr. Charles Hawkins. I have to put my little doctor's hat on. Come on now. Look, I'm upgrading myself.
Yeah, I got
Dr. Charles Hawkins.
Yeah.
Look, this is my prescription to all men. Check on your people. And when I say check on your people, ask them how they doing, and then ask them again. For real, how you doing? That's how you check up on your people. Men always have something going on. We're so used to not saying it, we just don't say it.
And even when it comes to us as men, with the young guys. You can always tell them all the good stuff about you. Try my approach to a guy, to young guys. I'll be honest with them. Hey, I did that. I tried it. Not you, Mr. Lewis. Oh yeah, I did that too. And then you'll see that sometimes like myself, I try to I'm so adamant and so direct when it comes to young men. I don't try to hide nothing because you don't know that young man might be right on the edge of something. And I personally believe that's our job. Yeah. Anybody can tell them all the good stuff you did, but when you start telling those young men, I had that same problem. I had that same problem with a woman. I had the same problem with my family. I had the same problem with my attitude. And then you'll see, what, for real? Well, how did you deal with it? And you just say that young man, you just got him right back on the right track. Because a lot of us thinking ain't nobody going off, they going through stuff that nobody else ain't went through. That's the bottom line. Like I said, that's just being a decent human being. That's just being a man. So I mean.
And so I think coming around full circle that we was talking about the negative things about Father's Day, and then how to build it up, but I've seen and heard, because this is our job. I said, Larrone, let's grab 2 fathers. You get 2, I get 2. We'll sit down and we'll talk about whatever. Now, issue is, there was some that I contacted that's having a wonderful Father's Day. I'm talking about they doing their thing. Everybody's not being dismissed, but there's some women, and there's some men, and there's some families, and there's some communities that are saying, you know what, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna take care of you past that one day of free food. We're gonna take care of you past that one little gift. Like Father's Day is every day.
Yeah, it should.
It's every day. Like you remember your father, you remember what your father done for you. If you can remember what your father done for you, do something for him.
And it's like, and this is very, I say it's small, but when I was married, I was coming home to my family and my boys, they was young boys at the time. They hear me coming up them steps and stuff, and I open that door. The best thing that ever happened to me was I hear the word, they're running, Daddy home.
Come on, bro.
That just done something to me. It didn't matter how rough it was. I could have came to that house, got out of my truck, went to that door. I had to physically beat up, mentally beat up, and I just to hear them boys holler, Daddy home.
Come on, man.
And it just like, okay, everything that I went through outside of this house, it just went away. Yeah. Just by them disacknowledging Daddy home.
Man, same thing happened to me, bro. Like you said, we raise our sons by ourselves, so we understand more what the single woman understands already. But in our preview, we're saying, man, whenever we hear Daddy, and they reach up to it, man, come on, bro. All the pain and the cuts on the job site, I mess around, I was laying bricks. Well, helping make bricks. I got mortar all over me. I got mortar powder in my nose. I'm talking about I'm beat up. We work 11-hour days in the heat. I come home and my son, Daddy, come on,
man. And that's you right.
Do something to you.
Yeah, and like I said, you 100% right at that.
Do something to you, bro.
It's like and mentally, physically, I was still beat up and hurt, but just that, I just got that release. And also, hey, damn, this is why I'm doing this. Yep. This is why I'm getting up this early. This is why I'm putting these 12, 10 hours. That really will help you jumpstart your next day. And what better way for kids to see their daddy working? That's a good little thing. They seeing their daddy constantly going. They see their daddy constantly in the rain, the snow, it don't matter, the sun. They seeing that. So it's more likely they're going to pick up on that. And a part of their upbringing. Because I remember once, because I was an iron worker by trade, if you don't know what that is, it's a very dangerous job. Walking on beams, I mean, I've been so high in the air that I see people down on the ground. I know they're down there, but I can't see them. They look like little bit of ants hanging off the side of the crane, fitting steel, welding steel and stuff. I remember one day a crane was flying a beam on the side of the building, and I had my back to him, and the guy, he was rigging it in some kind of way. He didn't tie the loop real good, and I wasn't paying no attention to what was going on behind me, and that beam swung, and it hit me in my back, and it jammed me up against the building in that wall. And you talking about, like, when stuff catch you off guard,
that's when it hurt the most.
That's when it hurt the most. And then you begin to panic, and it just felt like I was already cut. I was kind of like, I better not look down, because I thought half of my body was gone because it struck me in the back. And then, well, they came up there the first day. They rushed up there. They had the crane move the beam and everything, and I was just like, the anger that I had more than outweighed the pain at that time. Yeah. And I was like, you see me here, and you not considerate enough to know that you got a man right here, and you swinging a beam to the building right where I'm at, not booming him over because we got hand signals and stuff. And then, like, I was upset. They checked me out. The rib wasn't cracked. Thank God. Nothing but, I had a bruise on my back. And I was upset for the rest. This happened like 10 o'clock that morning, and we working 12 hours. So I didn't want to be around nobody for the rest of the day. I got tired of people asking me, "You all right, LeBron?" Yeah, I'm like, good. Quit asking me that. What you think? That's what I'm saying. So now I'm in a humbuckers mood, So, but then I stay in the humbuckers mood all that time. You talking about working from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. I had to carry it all day, and then one day I come home, and I just came home. I just sat on my sofa, and I just like sat there, and I can't remember. I think it was my middle son out there, and he just looked at me, and he just said, "Daddy, you okay?" And it just like I just came to. I like shook my head. He said, "Daddy, you all right?" And I'm like, "What makes you say that?" Because you don't never come home straight and sit on the sofa. You always pick us up and play with us before you sit down. I'm like, damn, he noticed that. He picked up on that real fast. But like I said, I didn't even think about my, the injury after that. So, but like I said, just by you being us as men, we have to learn how to kind of like, like I said, we got to learn how to sit down sometime, rest, and just like, don't be in a hurry to do a lot of things. Sometimes the battle is better to fought tomorrow than it is today. Yeah. So, but that it was something.
I think it's real important for men to show their sons and their daughters their why. Like we have why or a reason that we're doing what we're doing. And the reason that we fight through those beams hitting us in the back and bricks hitting us in the head and walls caving in and all that, the reason we fight through that is because our why. Our why is our family. And when we go along through life and our family sees our why, our family should celebrate it. But if they don't celebrate it, that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start celebrating our why. Man, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you for pushing through and not getting involved in this, that, and the other, because it's easy to get mixed up with something else because you're frustrated. Yeah. When you come home from work, one of my last times, and I was going to bring my boy on, I'll bring him on another time. Came home from work, man, I'm in boots, it's cold. I'm talking about I'm tired. And fast forward, ended up beating some dude, one of my neighbors up. I'm talking about tried to hurt him real bad. Like hurt him real bad on purpose. And and now we cool. You know what I'm saying? We cool. You are. You my dude though. But men have all this frustration in them. They got all these muscles for a reason.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We have to respect each other, because if we don't, it's consequences. And so Father's Day is a day where we celebrate the ones who are staying around. It's easy to make a decision to not be around. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I appreciate and I respect all fathers who stuck around, who hung around for their kids. And I really want to make this point clear: the stepfathers who have stepped in and played a role, some type of way. You might have been dating somebody for a little while, and you was that good guy that the kids can kind of cling to, but you may not be their father, but you their father figure. You know what I'm saying? Or if you was an actual stepfather, you married in and you were stepfather to a ready-made family, so to speak. That's a weight, and that has to be respected. That has to be respected, where you understand that you're gonna have this weight on you already, and you have to be the captain of the ship. And I'm gonna take on these kids, and I'm gonna take on this wife, and I'm gonna still be the leader, and I have to navigate this ship like I'm supposed to. I respect dudes like that.
Yeah, and that you can't take that lightly, because I was a stepdaddy a few times, and like I said, I think that we take that for granted. It takes a mighty man to step up to take on somebody else's responsibility. Some people got multiple kids, on top of that, and then when that happens, most of the stepfathers I know, it's like they get attachment to the kids. It's almost like,
yep.
And then even if that relationship dissolves, you still be thinking about those children. Yep. You still have an attachment to them.
Yep.
So now, everybody look at us as these big physical guys and stuff, but at the same time, in that instance, if the relationship separated stuff, you gonna have a soft spot. You gonna have it's something in you that's still gonna have love for those kids.
Yep.
It's like an attachment. So my thing with that is that I actually think people take that too lightly, because people don't have to do, whether it be a male or a woman or a male, but you ought to reevaluate a lot of things and your decision making when somebody's stepping up to the plate to show their gratitude and responsibility. I sometimes, like some of the women I dated before, their fathers and mothers have called me and told me plenty of time, "Hey, Mr. Lewis, we appreciate you for stepping up in the gap, looking out for my grandkids and stuff like that before, for the time I was, I've been there." And I wouldn't say that I would change for the world, but at the end of the day, that's just what we do. And a lot of times people forget and take that for granted. Even when we're out in public and stuff, even though my boys are still grown and gone now, my job still, it don't stop with me. With my kids, it starts with other kids. Some other young men would need my service. Some, I talk to a lot of women, with their kids and their daughters and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, that you don't never stop fathering. It don't matter. You don't never, even if it's a guy our age and we're the same age, I wouldn't call it fathering, but your level, your skill, your how you were with your kids might help them with theirs. You can always I give women recipes. When they complain about, I gotta cook, get off the work, do all, I give them simple recipes that, can help feed their kids and stuff, things like that. And like I said, you hear me and him, we the only two guys that you gonna always hear that we ain't never taken our wisdom to the grave. It's supposed to be on this side of the dirt, not on that side. It ain't doing no good on that side. It's supposed to be on this side of the dirt. It's especially at our age. We don't have nothing else to prove. But we're supposed to be able to replenish that wisdom and knowledge to the next generation.
Yeah. And the reason we can replenish our wisdom and knowledge is because we're still gaining more.
Yes.
The gatekeepers, the one that don't want you to know anything, they have stopped learning. Don't continue to go to those guys and try to ask and pull and get. They'll give you a little hint over here, a little. Man, if you come to me, I'm gonna give you the whole game.
Yes. It ain't gonna cost you nothing.
It
But
ain't
you here.
It ain't gonna benefit me either one or the other, because there's somebody out there quicker, stronger, smarter, faster, and more knowledgeable about whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've already lost.
Yeah.
So I might as well give up the little game that I got, and guess what? It's gonna make me feel good because I'm giving somebody some game that, or some knowledge or some expertise that I know already. Why hold it?
Yeah, right. And like I said, my thing also, what you just said, I have a nephew. Not only do I have a nephew, his son, he got a son, which makes him my great nephew. So I went to his grandmother's house, which is my sister, to make some repairs, and I come in there with a little tool bag and drill. And you should have seen the way he looked. Uncle Larrone. And I let him play with the tools and stuff. So every time I go over there now, he's looking for me to fix something. He want to fix something. This is my great nephew. Yeah. You know, so now, hey, that brings joy to my heart. My nephew, I was doing some wires, and more kids, they see wire, they would be scared. Now him, I'll put him up on the counter, and I show him what his wire does, and he excited about it. So now every time I go around him, he want to fix something. When I come through that door, he looking for Uncle Larrone to fix something. Him and I work together. Yeah, he will. It don't matter. He ready to work on anything.
And look,
I'm so excited about it.
Look, we about to wrap it up, but look, the Bible says this: a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. An inheritance don't necessarily mean money. No. So if we can get past the money part, a good man, the only way to qualify as a good man, not the only way, one way to qualify as a good man is to leave an inheritance, leave some knowledge to your son or your daughter, and then their sons or their daughters. Yeah. And then when they can tell you about the same thing you told your son, man, you qualify as a good man.
Yes. And then that's the homework for the day. Are you in alignment with leaving an inheritance for your children? It ain't just your kids, your children's children. So that makes your grandkids, generational wealth.
Yeah.
All the nationalities of people are doing that. We not. So that's a challenge to the men out there. Are you leaving an inheritance for your children? Or is your dynasty just gonna stop with you? Or have you put your children in position to live off what you taught them, whatever? And like I said, I don't even like to use money because it ain't stable. Because my thing was about, everybody want to think about wealth is money. That's not far from the truth. Money ain't stable. Because if a person, you can leave a child a lump sum of money, but if they ain't used to handling money, it's gonna be gone just like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So yeah, man, it's very important that we leave an inheritance for our children's children, and that we consider a good man in the eyes of God. Yeah. And we're asking for recognition from other people, but we can't expect for other people to recognize us, because if we expect for other people to recognize us, we will get disappointed. Mm-hmm. So we might as well just start doing it right now. Yeah.
And one way you could do it right now, Father's Day is not over with. If you see a guy, whether you know him or not, like I do, I've been practicing this all Father's Day. I'll be at the gas station. What's up, man? Happy Father's Day. Give me bump the fist.
Yeah.
And the guy, they be like, man, yeah, happy Father's Day. And just by me doing that one little thing, man, you can see they're like, they could have been going through something or wasn't nobody. Just that one little thing Cause right now, we need to start doing that. We need to start encouraging, like I said, each other. We need to start encouraging you, young man. You don't know everybody's situation. You don't have to know it, but start uplifting each other. We can't depend on the women to do it because something is going on with all that. But we can encourage each other. Happy Father's Day. Boom, give him a fist bump. You in the grocery store, you stay in the line. It ain't gonna cost you nothing to say, hey man, happy Father's Day.
I went to Academy. I went to go get a mouthpiece, and I walked in there, and there was an older gentleman sitting on the little bike, elliptical machine, not elliptical, but the sit down row machine, whatever you call it. And I walked in, I said, "Hey, you got the best seat in the house." And me and he was kind of joking, and I started to walk off, and I stopped. I said, "Sir, do you happen to be a father?" "Yes." "Happy Father's Day to you." And me and him went to conversating. This dude had to be 85 years old.
You probably had the biggest conversation with that man that he had all day. Yep.
He said, you know, I got, I think he said he got 3, but 2 did right. He said, but 1 kind of, I said, you did the right thing. I said, it ain't about the results of what you put into them. It's not about what's come back. It's what you put into them. I said, you gave them the best that you had.
Yeah.
I said, congratulations. You did a fantastic job. I didn't know this man from a can of paint.
And then you may see that man again, and he really recognize you, and that's how you get those blessings. Cause I can pull up anywhere and just go see. If I sit too long, I'm a talker. I'm a talk to people. I'm a joker. I talk real stuff. And so I can pull up at the Wawa sometimes, sit there and see a guy in there, and just go to ribbon off. And next thing you know, we Facebook friends. Hey man, you do this, you do that. Yeah. Man, why don't you come over here and then I build a network of friends just like that. Just communicate. Yeah. So that's good. You probably made his day.
Yeah, I hope I did.
Yeah, you probably made his day.
I hope I did, man. Yeah. But we're about to sign off, man. We appreciate everything that y'all are doing for us. We appreciate all the help. We appreciate all the text messages, all the love that we get from people in the grocery stores, from people online, our DMs. Man, we just appreciate everything because our job is to just give this information to everybody. We didn't think it was gonna be this big, and we didn't think it was gonna be this beneficial for us. It's good for us to share information like this because we're breaking these curses and we're breaking these stereotypes, and we're really just putting forth the effort. That's it. All we're gonna do is put forth the effort. So, man, I appreciate y'all, man.
Tell a man next to you, see him in the grocery store, don't matter. Tell him Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to y'all, man. Peace out.